Welcome to On the Corner of Main Street, presented by Plaza Hotel and Casino in downtown Las Vegas. Here is Plaza CEO Jonathan Jossel, Gary Vickery, and I'm your host, Lisa Melmed.
Hello. Welcome to another episode of On the Corner of Main Street. Lisa will be joining us here in just a few minutes. Jonathan, how are you today?
I'm great, Gary. I'm very excited. We just announced, we didn't announce it. We just signed a contract for one of the two new bars that will be opening up at the Plaza. And in 2 weeks, they will be our guests on the podcast where we will break the exclusive news as to whom they are. And I'm very excited about that. But there is something also exciting that took place this week. Tell everyone about what you witnessed under the dome, under our lights.
Yeah, so Monday, it kind of went a little viral. I know it was out there for everybody. Monday morning around 7 o'clock or so, 7 o'clock in the morning, we found a giant rental truck that tried to drive in under the dome area of the plaza. Took out about 6 panels under there and about a couple dozen lights.
It got jammed in. It hit the top of our lights.
Right.
And got stuck.
And he they went pretty far into it. It wasn't like, they just tapped it and then it stopped. That happened a few years ago to us.
Yeah.
No, he was about 2 feet in.
I can't imagine your reaction. I had a bunch of people ask me if I was mad, and I was very mad. But what was even more maddening is he wasn't even coming to the plaza.
No, he was coming to pick up slot machines for another casino. The word I got was it was his first day on the job or first few days on the job.
He drives into our porte cochere and jams his truck into the light bulbs, smashing about, I want to say 80 lights.
Yeah, it was about a couple dozen lights were taken out.
What an exciting time.
Yeah, we had everybody out there first thing in the morning.
Well, it went on to Twitter with a bunch of people. I know that. So somehow people
did he apologize,
Gary?
No apology. No apology.
I understood he was quite his insurance company's taking responsibility.
Okay.
And he did feel bad from what I gather.
Yeah, he was definitely upset. You could tell that there was a lot going on there. We had to take out a bunch of the air out of the tires in order to lower it enough to be able to get it out.
That's what we did. We lowered it. Wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible. Well, also an exciting week because it's July 4th this coming weekend.
Right.
It is also on Friday night. The Plaza technically turns 50, although we're not necessarily doing anything dramatic this time around because we just hadn't prepared for it with the pandemic behind us now.
Well, today, as of when this episode airs,
correct.
We just turned 50 years old.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. We will be doing fireworks tonight, 10 p.m., Saturday night, 10 p.m., Sunday night, 10 p.m. The Sunday night show will be the biggest of the three.
Right.
We'll be closing down Main Street where everyone can come out there, come to the pool, come all over downtown Las Vegas, wherever you want to be. You're going to have a great view of our fireworks show, 10 p.m. And it's just going to be, I think, a huge weekend for the town.
Right.
It's also the first weekend of Resorts World. Well, second weekend, I guess.
Second weekend. They just did fireworks.
They did.
Last week.
They did on their grand opening, and the Strip is doing fireworks again, so it'll be interesting. We did fireworks last July 4th, and the mood was very different to what I'm expecting this year, where I think the town is packed. Everyone's going to be sold out in the hotels, and it's just a busy weekend coming up. And I did go by Resorts World.
Did you? I haven't been over there. How's it? Well, what was your first impression?
I missed the grand opening. I was out of town. I went there on Monday. It was packed wall to wall with people. I was very impressed. I've heard differing things, and I was very impressed. I thought that actually, Sean Christie, who was a guest on the podcast a couple of weeks ago, said the reason he's doing the steakhouse in there, which isn't opening for a couple more months, but he said that when he went in there, he was just so taken by how well done it was, and that's what inspired him to want to be a part of it. And I have to agree with him. I just thought it was incredibly designed. I thought the lighting was amazing, the art's amazing, the flow is really good. Their food is all very interesting. It's different. It's not your cookie cutter offerings. The street food concept is very, very good. Here's the thing. Everyone's a little impatient. The place is packed. It's their first few days, and they're still figuring things out. Maybe they needed more training. Maybe they needed more time, play days or whatever. But it sounds like people have had some mixed experiences, but I just was very impressed by the thing. I think it's great for the town. I think it's going to draw a huge amount of people into the town, and overall, I'd like to do. I think we should do an episode down the road, give them another chance to get their feet under them and discuss it in more detail, and somebody from the property can speak about it as well further in. You haven't been yet, right?
I haven't been there.
I was there twice. It was there for lunch a day after we're recording this, and the feeling of getting their act together. We sat down. 3 people asked us for our beverages, what we wanted. None of them brought it eventually, but eventually it happened. The people ahead of us got seated later, served first. But again, those are just
that'll
that
all come together. Yeah. I mean, I asked for directions, and they told me to download the app because the app knew where things were. But I, give them a chance.
And there's a couple owners to the different hotels, and I know that there were some challenges hotel-wise opening that first weekend where they were moving people around and everything. So
I think you got to give it some time.
They still have. They apparently were doing some nice rates though, because I saw a girls' soccer team, a bunch of 14-year-old girls checking in.
Soccer teams have a lot of money, man. What are you talking about?
Who is there? Do they have a sports book over there?
I didn't see a sports book. I was taken by that. If they do have one, it's funny. You got a new casino that opened up this year across the street from us, which is all sports
right,
book.
The staple is the sports book in the pool.
And you go down there, and there's almost no sports book.
It's there. I found it. I had to go look for it because I saw signs that said sports book, and then you go and there's no sign to say, here is the sports book. It's in the Doghouse, the country western bar that's an offshoot of a Nashville chain in the back.
Interesting. Okay.
There is the sports book. It's small. It's comfy. But, yeah, it's tough to find.
And I think, if I'm not mistaken, it's IGT who's operating that sports book. But anyway, no, I was pretty taken by the fact that there wasn't really more to it. And I know today we're going to be talking about sports in our episode. Our guest, a good friend of mine, reached out and said we should have them on the show. And I think we're going to have a great episode.
I think we will. Let's get right into it.
Today we are joined by the head of race and sports at Station Casinos. You can listen to him on his own podcast called Bookends by Station Sports, spelled STN Sports. And that podcast does a fantastic job of breaking down things for the casual sports fan versus the sharp perspective. Welcome, Jason McCormick, to On the Corner of Main Street.
Thanks, guys, so much. Great to be here, and looking forward to a sports discussion.
I think you just undersold him, though. He just told us he got a promotion.
Yeah. Most recently, been about a month now, I'm the new Vice President of Race and Sports for Station Casinos.
Congratulations. Wow.
Thank you.
Very cool. How many books are under that?
So we've got 13 of our books, and then we run the El Cortez as well.
Okay. Very cool.
So tell us where you're from and how you got started in your career.
I'm originally from Chicago, actually the south side of Chicago, about 20 miles south, a place called Oak Forest. Graduated high school there, probably played every sport under the sun as a kid. My parents, I think, put me in everything from gymnastics to football to soccer to baseball. If it was ability to be played, I played it. High school really focused on football and wrestling. Ended up going to college at Eastern Illinois University down in Charleston, Southern Illinois. And 2 years in, I said, you know what, I really want to go out to Vegas, and I knew that sports betting was something that I really wanted to do. So I came out here, finished up school at UNLV with a hotel administration degree in casino concentration.
You wanted to do sports?
Absolutely. I kind of, going back to probably by the time I was 8 or 9 years old, I was constantly watching sports with my dad. My dad's a huge Chicago sports fan. I'm a diehard Chicago sports fan, going to
all like Bears, Cubs, everything.
Bears, Cubs, Hawks. We kind of have the family disagreement when it comes to baseball. We grew up on the south side, so I should be a White Sox fan. My father's a diehard White Sox fan. However, my mom's side of the family, Northsiders and big Cub fans. So, and obviously WGN growing up in Chicago, the Cubs were always on TV. It was that era of Dawson and Sandberg. So when I was in high school and college, I would actually go down and spend a lot of time at Wrigley Field. So I'm on the Cubs side of the fence now, and my father and mother still send pillows to my kids with, half the pillows got the Cubs side, half the pillows got the White Sox side. So there's definitely some.
Wasn't there a thing in Back to the Future where the year that he goes to the future, the Cubs win the World Series, and that happened the next year?
Yeah, I think it was 2016 or something like that.
Yeah, that's the year of the future, right?
Yeah, and then they ended up winning it in 14 or 13 or something like that. It was a couple years off.
Anyway. Good general knowledge question for you.
So when did you first realize you were going to start getting into sports betting? Was that in high school?
Yeah, I mean, I followed sports betting throughout high school. As I went into college, I actually, the horse racing side of the business too was also very interesting to me. Growing up, used to spend a lot of time at the tracks, whether it was Arlington, Balmoral, or Maywood, as I got into college and stuff like that. And so when I came out here, my first job was actually as a ticket writer at Bally's Las Vegas under John Avello, and I spent 5 years at Bally's, and then when Paris Las Vegas opened up, I moved over there as a lead supervisor. So I kind of went through those roles of writer, supervisor, super writer with Park Place Entertainment and Bally's in Paris.
Nice.
Stepped away after 5 years, and I had my first child and got married, and my dad was always in the car business, and so I said, let me go try the car business, see if it's something I like, maybe be able to go back home and kind of take over the car business for him. Sure. Loved the money in the car business, hated the job. Didn't like the sales aspect. Didn't like the super long hours, especially out here in Las Vegas in the heat of the summer. And decided I wanted to get back into sports, and had the great opportunity from Art Manteris, who was our vice president at that time, hired me as a part-time writer at Fiesta Henderson. And over the next 18 years that I've spent with Station Casinos, I've worked my way up from writer to manager to director, and now
Station's 18 years.
18 years, yep.
So it sounds like you were more drawn, though, to the industry because of being a sports fan yourself, as opposed to, like, the mob and the history of sportsbook writers in the town. Like Frank Rosenthal was a sportsbook guy. Did you study that history? Did you know?
Yeah, I knew the history, but yeah, for me, it's about the sports. This to me, I tell people, it's not a job, it's not a career. This is a passion. I absolutely love sports each and every day, and I could tell you as we sit here today what games are on the board and who we need and what we don't need, and it's just it never goes away. There's 2 days. I think the days now that the Major League Baseball All-Star break has the day before and then 2 days after. Those are really the only 2 days that there's not a whole lot of sports going on, other than maybe if WNBA is playing. That really are kind of days off. Other than that, there's always something going on, always something to bet, and kind of always something to sweat.
Yeah, no, it's a huge. It's grown in popularity immensely. I mean, I'm from England, and it was always big there, and it seems like in America's been a few years behind, obviously, in terms of not just legalizing it, but in terms of the technology behind it. And now with what's happening, it's just getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and it must be a very exciting time for you in the industry to watch it.
Yeah, over the last, we'll call it 6 to 8 years, as we've seen this really growth of mobile and technology, it's been absolutely incredible to see what we've been able to do, and adding wallet and adding different ways for people to get their money in to make their bets, and then to watch not only that, but the menu expansion has just been absolutely incredible, where you were booking an NFL game where you had game side and total and a first and second half, and now we've got quarters, and the props are just incredible. We talk about Super Bowl Sunday of having 20 to 25 pages of props on a Super Bowl Sunday, and now you're starting to see every week everybody starts to get to where every game is starting to be more and more like that Super Bowl, with the number of ways you can bet it, and then obviously the new in play has kind of changed the world of sports betting as we know it, to where you're able to bet throughout the game on everything that's going on in the game. And so
who controls that? Who says what you can bet on and what you can't bet on? And
we're setting it up. I mean, obviously there's the gaming control board, has things you can set on, like we can't bet on elections and that type of stuff. But as far as setting,
why not?
It's just in the regs that you can't bet on.
I thought the rule was it has to be decided on the field.
Yeah, and you can from a sports book standpoint, it has to be decided on the field. You can go into and apply for the ability to take bets on stuff that doesn't happen on the field. Great examples here are like the Heisman Trophy, who's going to win the MVP, and that type of stuff. Some of that stuff that's voted on, and so you ask the gaming control board, hey, here's the rules upon what this wager is, here's how it's going to be graded, here's who's deciding it. Then they give you the go ahead and book some of that stuff. But you're absolutely right, it has to be decided on the field.
So just so I know what kind of a person you're on, who I'm dealing with here, what did you do with the John Rahm situation 2 weeks ago when he got COVID on the third round? What was your take on that situation?
Well, unfortunate for him to not be able to finish the round, especially with the fact that he was playing in dominant fashion. But for us, that was a losing ticket.
That was a losing ticket?
Yeah,
I bet that game and I got paid out. I bet that tournament and I had John Rahm and I got paid out, so I was very happy with that. But I respect
what sport
your
is
position.
that?
Okay, so what happened was John Rahm is a golfer, and he was winning a tournament on day 3 by six seven shots?
6 strokes.
And then as he walks off the 18th green, they tell him he has COVID. Right?
How did they not? What?
And so he couldn't finish the tournament because it was ridiculous. It was one of the most, crazy things I've seen in golf. or in any sport for that matter. They tell him he's got COVID and he's standing on the course still around all the fans, like you got COVID, and so you can't finish the tournament. And a couple of books, I don't know exactly who paid it out. Some books, obviously like yourselves, didn't pay it out. And in your defense, it was a losing bet. He didn't win the tournament. So people who bet on him, I think he was like in play running. I don't know if you had priced it out yet, but he was like almost a guaranteed winner, right? It was like...
Yeah, he was a pretty heavy favorite, like minus 800 or something like that.
Right. So he was almost guaranteed to win it, but you lost your bet because the guy got COVID. So some people, it's goodwill, and there's a big debate about it. Well, why'd you do it? And maybe if there'd been more liability, people wouldn't have paid it out. But it's just interesting to hear because it kind of got a lot of people talking about that situation, and it was good marketing for those that did pay it out, I guess.
Yeah, and again, you're just seeing this more and more, and again, the social media aspect of it, where you're hearing that type of stuff and doing those type of things to get that kind of social media chatter of what you're doing. But I mean, it's literally something that happens in almost every game as we go through. Somebody gets in foul trouble, somebody gets injured. Unfortunately, we're talking about UEFA soccer. We saw Eriksson have the heart attack on the field, and that's a
and
very...
if you bet him to score first, you're upset that he had a heart attack, but
it's an awful situation. Right. You can't overcome that. But we have the rules that we play by, and if you have the advantage or you had the other side of that, you're real happy. You're getting a winning ticket that didn't stress. So the losing tickets, unfortunately, stay losing tickets.
I hear what you're saying, and there's things you can take into account. Like you can lose when your team's up by 3 on a baseball game, and a guy hits a home run with a grand slam or whatever. Like you can lose in really unlucky fashion.
Sure.
But come on, a guy gets COVID on the like that's just so unheard of.
Why didn't they test him before
and that's why I think there is something to be said for this. They knew he had been around someone who had it, and they were testing him each day, and it wasn't showing up. But they tested him on the 4th day, so they let him play all 3 days, basically win the tournament, and then kick him out on the 4th day.
So sad.
Yeah, and this is really tested not only sports books, but the leagues in general, because this same stuff, whether it was golf, as we were going NBA and NHL and NFL as they were playing their seasons out, this stuff was bound to happen everywhere. As we were booking NFL games, quarterbacks were question mark because who were they around and stuff like that. I remember, if you can remember back to the middle of the season where the Denver Broncos, all 3 of their quarterbacks didn't get a chance to play in the game. And I think they started...
They had a wide receiver playing.
Yeah, had a wide receiver playing quarterback. So
did it turn out to be a better NFL season for you guys, or worse profitability-wise because of all that uncertainty?
No, this past football season was one of the best NFL seasons that we've had in a long time.
Wow.
Again, just good balance is what we need. You need a lot of underdogs covering. Kind of when you think about sports betting from our side of the counter, we always need underdogs. Don't want favorites to kind of always be winning. And this NFL season showed really good balance, and kind of had teams like the Patriots that are normally those powerhouses, finishing near the bottoms of the division, and some new teams coming to the top. So that's always good for us from an NFL standpoint.
Even with the volume being a little bit down coming into the season, with everything that was happening with COVID and the occupancy in Nevada not being where it was.
So you talk about COVID and how it affected the casinos and slots and table games. One of the few bright spots for us was really sports. I mean, sports didn't see that dip at all. We've continued to see that sports growth, and I think one of the reasons by that opportunity is the mobile growth.
Right.
Is that you were able to stay mobile, be able to bet your sports. You didn't have to be able to come in, so those occupancy restrictions didn't really affect us from a sports standpoint.
And Russian ping pong and Korean baseball.
Korean and Japanese baseball, definitely filled the menu for a month or so there. So much so that we're still booking it, even with it gone, because it developed a fan base and people that are, enjoying the baseball at 2:30 in the morning.
I remember Oscar Goodman was betting on the Korean baseball, and I was like, what are you doing? But in segueing into our conversation, he also bet on the Golden Knights last night and lost. How important has that introduction of Golden Knights been for your sports betting business on ice hockey?
Well, again, ice hockey was near the bottom before the Knights got to town. From the betting standpoint, you could go through NFL, college football, baseball, basketball. You could find soccer leagues that were taking more action than the NHL. And with the Knights' inception here, NHL wagering has absolutely skyrocketed. And we talk about menu expansion. Since they've been here, we're adding first periods and second periods and third periods, and props are going through the wazoo. But from a standpoint of the Knights being here and being such a successful organization, it does kind of tax the sports books with that liability each and every night that they play. So a night like last night is very, very good for the sports book in us, and bad for the fan in us.
You're right. I was about to ask you, so as a fan, do you find yourself torn though? Because I assume everyone's betting on the Knights.
everyone is betting on the Knights, and I'll flip this a little bit in that it's not the same as a local fan base that's betting on the Knights. I think that the Las Vegas local sports bettor is an educated player. They look at winners, they look at losers, they value their dollar, and they want to place their bets on winners. And the Las Vegas Knights, they're winners. So they're cashing so many tickets. So it's not like people are just blindly saying, I'm going to go play the Vegas Golden Knights. They're going to play the Vegas Golden Knights because they truly believe this is going to be a winning ticket. And you can look at the Raiders the same way. We didn't have that.
You can't necessarily.
No, but I'm saying what you can't.
Raiders.
You're not getting the huge money on the Raiders because they're not a winning team. You're getting people that are betting against the Raiders because they don't think they're going to win today. And like the last couple of series when the Knights were struggling with the Wild a little bit, we were seeing a little bit more balance in those games because they were tight games. The Wild were playing them really, really well. And even those first couple games against Colorado, we did see a little bit more Colorado money in those first two games. But then as the Knights made themselves, like you could blindly see they were the better team on the ice, the money just continued to flow in on them. And Montreal is not the same team that Colorado was. And so that very first
last
game,
night was crazy.
Yeah. Well, and right now, as we sit in going into the series and stuff like that, the Sportsbook's been really been struggling in baseball. So the fan base from a standpoint of hockey and everyone that's betting sports is making a ton of money in baseball.
Just because the favorites keep winning?
Yeah, well, it's
the underdogs aren't winning.
The bad teams are really bad. We've got a big group of teams that is bad in baseball. So it led to people cashing a lot of those tickets, and you saw that all go to the Knights.
Speaking of stations specifically, you guys you said you had 13 books in Vegas. Is that just in Vegas, or you're in other states?
Yeah, so we're in no other jurisdictions right now. We're focused on Southern Nevada and enjoying our ways in Southern Nevada.
What is the plan, though? Is the plan to go to other states? Cause
always looking at potential expansion, and not only just the 13 books here, but also looking at expansion here in Southern Nevada. So, that's kind of always asking that question of what's next and where do we go, and we're looking at answering those questions right now.
Because it seems like the big gold rush, and I'd love to get your thoughts on this, the gold rush right now is getting licensed in all these other states across the country, obviously maybe not for stations, but you got the FanDuels, DraftKings, William Hill's, BetMGM, all trying to make these sort of national plays. What do you think about that?
Well, again, good luck to them. I hope that comes to fruition for them and they're able to make a lot of money. At the end of the day, I think that's what the business is looking for, the ability to make money. And I think when we looked at a lot of the opportunities back in the East Coast and the Midwest, the cost to go back there and you watch these guys are kind of the acquisition cost for those customers, and they're really a mobile-based customer has been really high. And a lot of those companies that you mentioned, they're really struggling to make money in those markets that they're in. Doesn't mean that they're not going to succeed in the long run, and from a standpoint of being a sportsbook fan and a sportsbook guy, you want to see everybody do well and enjoy, and really the guest experience be fantastic in those states. And we've elected to stay here for now, and we'll see as we expand in the right spots with the right opportunities.
What is your thoughts on Circa and Circa Sports and them coming onto the scene over the last years?
I think it's been fantastic. I think they brought a kind of a new vibe here to downtown. Obviously, the pool that they've put in and what Derek's done over there has been great. And again, I think that development helps us all. It helps us all raise our bar to compete with the people that are doing new things in innovative ways, and it just raises the bar for all of us.
Does it genuinely, you think, improve? Like downtown, you got a lot of books now. Does it genuinely improve the odds for the customer, the people that know how to shop odds? You think that this is now creating people to give better pricing across the board?
Well, I think the guys that are really shopping odds are doing so even more on mobile, so it doesn't really matter where the book is located. They're able to get on the app and sit in there and get on the 5 apps that they have or 10 apps that they have and be able to make their wagers. I think that Nevada is still so much of that retail operation, and we get so much out-of-town visitation that are coming into each one of the books, that the retail operations are still so very, very important. And to be able to run a good, clean book with great guest service, you're still going to find success when you're able to do that.
Yeah. So we outsource our book to William Hill. We did that deal 10 years ago or more at this point. Is that something that you would like to see more of for stations? You have the El Cortez. Would
Correct.
you guys take on? Because there's obviously a big question in the industry now. What happens now that Caesars owns William Hill in terms of these independent books? Is that something that you think that could be an opportunity for stations?
I absolutely think that, absolutely. There's an opportunity there. I think
you're smiling as you're saying as well. It's like you've thought about that already.
As William Hill sits and combines into Caesars, I think that there's lots of properties that they were okay with having William Hill be a part of their operation, but Caesars is a competitor of theirs when it comes to the slots and table games and everything else. And will they sit pat and let Caesars be in their sportsbook locations and getting those databases? We'll see if that continues and if that opens the door for.
You could say the
other
same for
properties.
stations, of course.
Well, but I mean, we don't have that strip market presence at this point in time.
Right.
More of that locals market that we're in, so we're not going head to head with you from trying to take those same customers.
Yeah, no, look, as a William Hill partner, we really haven't heard much from Caesars in terms of what their plans are and what that might mean for the book here and how it might change long term. Right now, it's just called William Hill, looks the same people, same everything, essentially.
And I mean, obviously the question for you guys then is if you're happy kind of in those rental type deals, or do you feel like sports is continuing to grow, or you want to get back in the business of sharing in the revenue of sports,
Right.
or if you're just happy with the check you're getting?
In the old days, there was always a loss leader. I guess it's changed. We got someone across the street now who's running, well, they have 3 books, I guess, just down on the street, but and they have a few more that they've opened up locally. But as an independent, one property, one book, I think it's tough.
I think as long as you have the sports book that, again, you bring up that it's an amenity. It's your Keno lounge. It's your buffet. It definitely is not a loss leader at this point in time anymore.
Right. There's just so much volume now.
You've got to have a good book. You've got to have those opportunities. You've got to have the in-play to have people be able to come and make their wagers and be here for sports, and then hopefully you're able to knock them dead with guest service, and they play your slots and your table games as well.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right on that. Yeah. It's definitely grown in popularity in the last. I think it's just the last sort of 5 to 8 years that we've seen a dramatic shift. I think you mentioned the guy that you said you worked with at Bally's. Is he the one that runs the South Point now?
So John Avello is currently with DraftKings. He was the director or vice president of Bally's when I started there. He's over with DraftKings at this time.
So how has the
Chris Andrews is the director of sports at South Point, and Jimmy Vaccaro.
Jimmy Vaccaro is who I was thinking of. You said Johnny Avello.
Over there as well.
Right.
Again, true icons in the business. As the guy that I'm replacing, Art Manteris, a Hall of Famer, and to have the opportunity to work with these guys and learn from these guys is just absolutely incredible. And Vaccaro is definitely one of those guys that left their mark on the industry, continue to leave their mark on the industry, and kind of paved that way for the younger guys to now take it to another level.
So now that DraftKings, FanDuel, I mean, they spend a lot of money in marketing, and they're all over ESPN and any type of big sporting events. How has that impacted just standard sports books as a whole?
Well, they're not here in Nevada yet. I
Right.
mean, obviously their marketing message and what they're spending out there and getting on the TV and in social media and their lines. So we're not a direct competitor with them yet. They're doing a what I would think is a really good job of acquiring these guests all around the world, all around the United States by lending their fantasy. Marketing databases to get people to sign up for sports. But, my question at the end of the day is, are they making money in sports, and
Right.
how well are they doing in actually booking sports?
Do you think? I mean, I assume that they're helping kind of develop the sports better on a national level, being with so much advertising.
Well, there's that's for sure. I mean, sports. We talk about sports being on an ESPN or something like that. Just 3 years ago, you were never seeing the lines and the
Right.
spreads on the ESPN crawl. I think as we were sitting here yesterday, and you talking about the U.S. Open golf, they on ESPN it was talking about that Mickelson was the big bad liability for the sports books. You would have never seen that in years past, and so there's definitely that development, and I think it's going to continue to develop.
And it's such an important point because everyone said, oh, well, as they legalize this, less people will come to Vegas. I mean, I don't know if it's because of the pandemic, but March Madness was our best one yet. I'm sure you guys had a crazy time.
Yeah, and that was at 50%.
And that was 50%. But the idea is, sorry, that was a bad joke. But the idea is, it's educating people on it, and then it's like I got to get to Vegas to do that.
You think about like a Brent Musburger, who's obviously a huge sports betting guy and does all the shows and stuff like that. When he was on the air, he would always kind of have those sarcastic comments in the back, like, "Oh, that just went over," and
Right.
So he would kind of on the back door talk about sports betting. And now the announcers of these games, that's right up and center, them talking about it and talking about what this touchdown may have been, or going for 2 here or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
They're definitely discussing it on air.
Is that VSiN that you just mentioned?
Yeah, so Brent's with VSiN, yeah.
Okay, and they just sold, didn't they? They just got acquired.
I'm not sure.
VEASAN got acquired by DraftKings, I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
For a great valuation. Good for them. Is that why you did a podcast, though, to be a bit more like VEASAN? Was that
No, not at all. We, as John Schumacher, who's sitting with us here, we were
John.
just filming, just some short clips to post on our mobile app, kind of telling people about the promotions we had or new stuff that was up and coming or how to use a certain aspect of our mobile app. And as we were doing that, we realized, we kind of have more that we could tell our guests about what's going on and kind of promote what's going on this week in sports or what happened last week in sports. And, so many people are interested in kind of what's going on in the back scenes behind a sports book and how we make the odds and how we make the lines. And, we're not up front and center about talking about, hey, we had big winners this week or big losers this week. So, our podcast and really John's idea was to really just go talk about what's happening in sports this week. What are the key games that you're looking at that are going to be big games from a betting standpoint, and then really give an open, honest feedback about how the sports book is doing. So, we'll tell people, hey, we had a great week in the NFL this week, or, like I'm telling you right now, we're getting smacked around in baseball and not doing really well in baseball. And so it's I'm losing more hairs by the hour.
It's pretty much the same for everyone, though. I mean, every book needs the same outcomes, more or less. I mean, some of the futures bets fluctuate.
Yeah, and again, you get that general public betting, and they're all betting the same stuff. It's when you get potentially a big high roller that's coming in playing big slots and big table games that then puts down a big bet on a game that may influence every once in a while that you might have a different result. But yeah, in general, all of us are sitting in kind of that same boat. And from a standpoint of stations where we're not on the strip, where it's the local public every day, they do a whole lot more parlay betting. They're into doing their 6, 7, and 8 teamers. So when things go really bad for us at stations and we don't win those parlay sides, that parlay liability mounts up really quick on us.
So when you have someone just starting out, what are the 3 biggest tips you would give them when they place their first?
Are you speaking
bet?
For yourself here?
Asking for a friend.
You got to start small.
Don't you have to bet big to win big?
No, you gotta learn how to bet and feel comfortable with what you're doing. Mm-hmm. I think that starting small, if you're gonna, again, and small is a relative term to all of us, depending on what small means to you or what gives you that. I think that sports betting, it's the same as walking up to a blackjack table or hopping on a slot machine. You get that ride of, hey, I've got a chance to win something here. Mm-hmm. And some people, they kind of even like the low of, oh man, I lost, let me go kind of chase.
Like that?
Yeah, I think so, because you continue to come back because you appreciate those highs even more. So it's about starting off small and not really worrying about what a ticket's going to win you. Find a team that you want to bet on, and whatever the price is or whatever it is, just make that bet. Don't try and say, well, I really want to bet $10 and I want to try and win 1,000, because that's just that's ridiculous. It's the same as a lotto ticket. Pick a game, make a straight bet. That's the second portion of this is stay away from parlays at the beginning of your bets. Straight bets. Pick one game. You win that one game, you cash your ticket. And then the last portion is I'll tell you to stay to money lines. And what I mean by money lines is pick a team to win a game. With no point spreads or anything like that. So baseball is a really good example. You pick your team and all they have to do is win the game. When we talk about basketball and football, there's point spreads associated with those games, and one of the bet types in those is a money line where you're picking a team just to win the game. So if you take a favorite that's a 3-point favorite, they're minus $1.55 on the money line, so you'd have to bet $15.50 to win 10. And again, we're not worried about price, so we're just going to say, hey, I like the Rams.
Just pick a winner.
Put my money on the Rams to win, and when the Rams win, I cash my ticket. And then as you go through that a little bit more and more and more, then you'll start to develop into parlays and learn how to bet totals and buy half points and all the other stuff that goes with sports betting. But to start small, pick one game here or there and bet the money line.
Nice.
So that's the relationship with an amateur or a beginner, right? What about the big bettors, the pros? I think we had Joe Asher, who I'm sure you're familiar with, on our podcast a long time ago, and he said this idea of backing people off and wise guys and sharps is exaggerated. What's your take on that? Is that something going? Do you guys do that? Is that going on a lot right now?
Yeah, I think it is over exaggerated on the number of people that are being thrown out or backed off and stuff like that. You have essentially sports betting and looking at it more as like a stock. And if you turn the teams off, so we're talking about baseball right now, and the Giants are playing the Diamondbacks, and the Giants are a large favorite, and the Diamondbacks are the dog. And as that price on the Diamondbacks goes up, and you're getting so much public money on the Diamondbacks, or on the Giants, and so if they started at -$2 and by the middle of the day before the game goes off they're at -230, the sharp educated player sees the value of now taking the Diamondbacks at +210 because it's more than what the lines makers made the game when the game started. And if you were smart enough today, you could have actually laid the Giants -200 when we put the game overnight, and by the time the game went off you could have got +210 on the Diamondbacks. So you're earning 10 cents on every dollar that you bet. And so those opportunities open themselves up.
You allow guys to bet both sides, so you can bet. You can lay. Yeah, I guess you can just bet them. Not you bet the other side.
Yeah, if you
laying them.
If you made that bet, move them. And again, it's upon us of what we're deciding to do, and that's not a normal experience of what we're talking about today, where a game would move as much as what they're moving. But like I said, we're in a historic situation here with the Arizona Diamondbacks. They're I think they've lost or they've won 5 of their last 41 games or something like that.
Just a terrible team.
They're on record pace, like competing with like 100 years ago, like 1909 was the last time a team was this bad.
Oh my gosh.
So I mean, they're on and they go to play that. So they're down to the Giants right now. They go to play the Dodgers this coming weekend, and so they're in a really rough spot.
So you sort of didn't answer the question though. What about these guys that are so good? Do you back them off? Are they that good, or is there more to it? Because I didn't mean to say that, but
no, not at all.
It's such a thing in this industry where some places are so proud that they don't back people off, and that they take big action from anybody. I mean, is that really something going on?
No, we don't take big action from anybody. Again, it's the same as if somebody walked to your table game and was card counting, and you viewed them as a educated player and somebody that you're never going to be able to eventually beat. We look at it the same way in sports. If we have these guys that are just getting information before us, and especially in today's world where Twitter and social media, you have guys that get information before we get it in the book, or before services get it, or consultants get it. And so if you have those guys that have shown the propensity to get information better than you and have information better than you, your job as an operator is to not take that action or
what
back
kind
it
of
down.
info, like someone, like a player is injured or something?
Yeah, somebody's out, somebody's sick,
somebody's going through divorce and they're not mentally right.
And what about what defines big action?
I think, again, you talk about what's big action to each individual person. From a standpoint of what we look at from a limit standpoint, we're in the business right now where we'll take $20,000 from anybody on an NFL game, whether you're square or sharp. A basketball game, that's now we're in the playoffs right now, so that's at $10,000. But to answer your question, long short, you have to be and do things the right way. And unfortunately, sometimes that does mean backing a guy off or taking them down. And you try and not do it to a level where it really affects them. And we're not taking guys down to $50 or $100. We're still giving them a decent bet on sports. And I think it's also depending on the sport type. When you talk about limits of what we're taking in an NFL, you're not going to give those type of same limits on a WNBA game or a college softball game and that type of stuff. And our world has expanded so much into the type of sports we're playing. You bring up Japanese and Korean baseball. Well, we're not taking
How the hell are you setting a line?
Yeah, we're not taking $20,000 on that stuff. That's there as a convenience so that you can have action. And so the big action that we're taking, really not interested in those type of sports.
Well, and isn't there also a big thing on in play whereby if somebody gets the information quicker from the stadium, then you guys can react to the price? I did hear in England what someone's doing, or people are doing, is they fly drones over the horse racing tracks, and the camera feeds back the images from the horse racing track quicker than the television is getting it, and they're betting on the horses before the.
Well, it's never going to stop. You're always going to people looking for that advantage and how to get over on stuff, and we're seeing it throughout sports right now. We're talking about the pitchers and the foreign substances that they're using, or it's rampant everywhere, and everybody's looking for that advantage, especially with the dollar figures that these players make. They want to have success, and but we, from a protection of in play of getting those feeds faster, we put in some internal delays to where you're not getting that feed faster than us, and you can see it right here when you watch games on local TV, whether you're watching that direct TV feed or you're watching that feed come from Cox. There's sometimes 8 to 15 seconds delays in watching games depending on what feed you're getting. So we have both feeds in the book, and sometimes we'll put the slower feed out on the big screen and we'll watch the faster feed in the back. So it's funny, we can watch a basket get scored or a touchdown get scored, and then 8 or 9 seconds later the crowd erupts out in the book when we've kind of already seen things in the back.
It's crazy how fast it can be and how slow it can be as well. It's brilliant.
Do you think you're going to accept cryptocurrency?
I think that's really a question for the regulators versus the sports books. We'll see if that gets adopted as legal means of tender from a gaming control board standpoint, from a federal standpoint. We'll see where that goes, but we'll definitely, again, always asking that question, what's next? That definitely has been brought up, and we'll see which route that goes from a legality standpoint.
Where do you think the future of sports betting goes?
I think that we're getting so much more of what we're booking, and from a menu standpoint, and I'm not going to be surprised at all as, we see smaller conferences or Division II or Division III and minor leagues, and, you talk about just here at home where we have the Aviators and the Silver Knights, and we're booking those games, and just that expansion of why aren't we taking all minor leagues? Why aren't we taking all the
Did you take bets on the Las Vegas Lights, the soccer
We
team?
do take bets on the Las Vegas Lights. And
they had a good win last night. They beat Los Angeles 4-3.
Viva Lights.
Bet none of you knew that.
The next portion, though, the other portion is mobile. Mobile is going to continue to grow, and I think one of the big things is wallet of how do you we have PayPal and Pay Near Me and Sightline or Play Plus are connected, and you're starting to get ACH. It's what's those other funding options for people to get down and get their bets into their mobile app.
You mean to make the deposits into their accounts?
Into their accounts.
Yeah, that's a big deal. I mean, that's what we're looking at right now in the casino as well, is being able to get people to be able to
cashless gaming on the devices where they put it on their card and walk from machine to machine without having to get their vouchers out. It's definitely
that's awesome.
That next step.
With mobile, that keeps increasing year over year. Do you see the sports books eventually getting smaller? Or do you feel like I know the circuit just opened up this grand sports book, but I mean.
Yeah, I think that when you look at what do the next sports books look like, and I think one of the things you have to ask yourself is the other side of our business that we're in here in Nevada is the race side.
Right.
So many of the race and sports books have that all those carols and all the windows for people to be able to make the race bets, and you're really seeing that race handle kind of drop off here in the state of Nevada, as well as the race has gone mobile, so you can now bet race on mobile. So and the other thing is when you walked into sports books, it was much more of those individual seats or individual spots where you can watch your TV, and today's world, it's so much more a social event of, let's build a booth so that you can enjoy the game with 4 of your buddies, or, outside this pool area where you can have big gatherings to be able to watch games. So I think that's the next steps for sports books, is being able to have them be the social gatherings points, but I don't think that they're going to be as big as what they've been before because of what you're saying, stuff being pushed so much to mobile that you don't have to have. You're trying to entertain the out-of-town casino guest in your sports book, not necessarily trying to recruit everybody to come watch games. And now you've also seen that it's not only the book, but everybody's bars and their casino floors. They have mega monster TVs as well.
That's the amazing thing, is the shift towards these bars and restaurants with sports elements is just taking over everywhere. I just was at the Virgin opening, their grand opening last weekend, and they open up a new sports bar as well with huge TVs everywhere, the same kind of fast food menus that you see everywhere. It seems like that's the big push, is combining it with F&B. And I think there's two other dramatic things that are going to happen. One, you're going to get these other big players coming to town eventually, whether it's Betway, DraftKings. Betway, by the way, is our cousin in England who is the CEO of that, so shout out to our cousin, Neil Menashe. I think eventually Betway, DraftKings, FanDuel, all those guys will eventually come to Vegas. And I think there'll be a bigger proliferation of these types of entertainment venues that have that. And then I think it's inevitable, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, but we're going to have a baseball team and an NBA team here, MLB, MLS, NBA. It just seems like, I don't know if Vegas is big enough to support all of it, but it seems like they all want to be here. Haven't the Oakland A's been looking here now the last couple of...
and I think that they had some good meetings down here.
You guys might have some insider trading on that information.
No, not from that standpoint. I think that we're again excited for the potential for the A's to come down here. Obviously, I make my office home right up there at Red Rocks, so right across the street, the Las Vegas ballpark, and watching the Aviators. The Oakland A's affiliates are right there, and that ballpark's been...
Oh, they are affiliates, the Aviators?
Yeah, they're the AAA team of the Oakland A's.
Well, that makes some more sense.
It's a perfect marriage to bring the big.
Is that stadium big enough for?
No way. Although probably the amount of fans that they're getting up in Oakland could fit into the Las Vegas ballpark.
Sad.
But, no, I think, and again, you'd have to have a dome stadium, and you look at what where T-Mobile is and where the Allegiant Stadium is. I think you're going to have something down here, in the downtown area or somewhere down in that strip area. People have talked about, we need to blow up Sam Boyd Stadium, but I don't know that works way out there. And then how do you get the casino guests here up and down the strip back and forth? And again, at the end of the day, whether the team is here or not, we want them back on the casino floor after the games are getting played. So whether the game's at T-Mobile, go and enjoy that 2.5 hours at T-Mobile with the Knights, and then get your butt back into the casinos.
It is interesting as all of these things come back, how much time it takes away from people that could be gambling as they go to more shows and sporting events. There's a lot more distractions as everything starts to reopen.
Well, but I think that's what's bringing the visitation here, is that we're not just an entirely here to gamble city. There's so much more that you can do. The expansion of the valley in general, it's a family place. People are raising their families here, and Las Vegas has just been absolutely fantastic. And there's so much to do outside of gambling, I guess is the best way to put it.
Awesome.
We usually end with some career advice. So do you have any career advice for someone out there who's obsessed with sports, trying to get into the biz?
Get addicted to sports betting early.
I think from my standpoint, everything comes with hard work. You have to, get your foot in the door with a company that you believe in and that you trust, and people that hire you that you want to emulate or look up to, and then you gotta kind of work your tail off. I tell the people that that I've been hiring is that you're essentially stepping into a yellow brick road. If we'll use the Wizard of Oz as an example, a yellow brick road, and you're going to try and take that yellow brick road to the Emerald City, and along the yellow brick road, you're going to meet different people, whether it's the Tin Man and the Lion and the Scarecrow, and all of those people have good things about them, but they also have maybe things that you don't like about them, but you still got to kind of work through them and work through those challenges. And then you're going to run into the flying monkeys and the wicked witch of the east that'll challenge you in your career, and you're going to want to quit, or you're going to want to look another direction and stuff like that. And it might take you another direction, but make that decision of, hey, I'm still trying to follow that yellow brick road of where the end goal of the Emerald City is, and don't let those distractions kind of get in your way, trying to fight through them. It served me well in my 18 years with stations. I don't think you get to stay with a company as long as I have, and I'm blessed to be in the position I'm in and love the position I'm in. But again, you just got to kind of work your tail off and kind of always have that Emerald City goal at the end of your mind.
We had Anthony Curtis, I'm not sure if you're familiar with him on our podcast, and he talked a little bit about Mattress Mac. Did you guys have any experience with him? Mattress Mac, for anyone that doesn't know or didn't listen to that episode, you should listen to it. It's great. But he owns a mattress business and was hedging his bets on. He did a promotion with his mattresses, and he did a hedge whereby he was betting on the Houston Astros.
And now he's doing it with a lot more stuff. So he essentially, it's a furniture store. It's not just mattresses. He's furniture stores in Texas, and so he bases his kind of sales promos on, hey, if this team wins the World Series, you get all whatever you spent on furniture, we're gonna give that to you for free. And he's expanded into other stuff. Most recently, I think if a horse won the Kentucky Derby, you got free stuff, or if this team won the Super Bowl, you got free stuff. So he's really expanded on that promo because he's found that way to get off of it by essentially covering his losses by making significantly large bets to cover his furniture sales.
And it's probably great for his furniture business.
Yeah, and so we did have some dealings with him. I want to say it was during the Astros-Dodgers World Series. I don't know where I'm at time frame wise, but maybe 3 or 4 years ago he made some bets with us, and so he's constantly looking to get that action down and where he can get those best prices, and he's now expanded. I mean, obviously with the expansion of sports in other states, he's found some other jurisdictions that he's making wagers in. But those are the type of guys you got to love that type of stuff. Using his promo and then using sports to get off of it, and it's fun for the books to be able to take those type of wagers.
It sure is. It's fun to hear about it and to learn about it.
Thank you for joining us on the corner of Main Street. You can stay up to date with Jason on Twitter and Instagram at Station Sports App, STN Sports App.
We'll be back again soon, but in the meantime, please rate, review, and subscribe. Tell your friends about On the Corner of Main Street, and of course, follow us on social. On Twitter and Instagram, it's at Plaza Pod, and on Facebook, find us at Plaza Podcast. Or go right to the top and tweet Jonathan at Jonathan Jossel. We'll see you next time from right here on the corner of Main Street.